Hello, welcome to Gus McDoll Strategy and Tactics, and thank you to our subscribers. In this series, we play through each of the battles in the American Grand Campaign in Close Combat 4, the Battle of the Bulge. In each battle, we use historical World War II US Army doctrine and play at the highest difficulty setting. In this episode, I will introduce the campaign as well as my strategy and tactics. In the next episode, we will play through all of the boot camp missions. Then, in the following episode, we will start the American Grand Campaign. The Battle of the Bulge, also known as the Ardennes Offensive, was the last major German offensive campaign on the Western Front during World War II. It took place from the 16th of December 1944 to the 25th of January 1945. It was launched through the densely forested Ardennes region between Belgium and Luxembourg. The offensive was intended to stop Allied use of the Belgian port of Antwerp and to split the Allied lines, allowing the Germans to encircle and destroy each of the four Allied armies and force the Western Allies to negotiate a peace treaty. This is a battle map of the campaign area. I will be playing as the Americans on the operational defensive, at least initially. The American battle groups from the 12th Army Group include elements of the 10th, 9th and 7th Armoured Divisions, as well as Combat Command A and Combat Command B of the 4th Armoured Division, paratroops from the 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions, infantry from the 28th, 30th, 106th, 2nd and 26th Infantry Divisions, and other troops including from 8th Corps and 14th Recon. The German battle groups from Army Group B include various Armoured Kampfgruppe from the 2nd, 1st, Panzerlehr and 116th Panzer Divisions, various Mechanized or Reconnaissance Kampfgruppe from the 2nd, 12th, 1st, 116th and Panzerlehr Panzer Divisions, infantry from the 15th, 18th, 26th, 79th and 12th Divisions, and paratroops from the 3rd and 5th Fallschirmjäger Divisions. American defensive doctrine divides a typical defensive position into various defensive lines, pictured here in Figure 7 from page 123 of the Armoured Force Field Manual 17/10. The first line of defence are defended roadblocks. The second line of defence are combat outposts. And the third line of defence is the main battle position, with a reserve to the rear, of course. In line with American doctrine, my broad approach will also be to hold three defensive lines. First, the defended roadblocks along the Siegfried Line to the east. These will act as my early warning and to slow down and wear out the initial German offensive. Second, the combat outposts, from Sanvith through Klurf to Wiltz. The Germans are likely to bring superior forces to battle, particularly heavy panzers such as the Panther tanks. And due to weather, the Americans will not have air superiority. So, I may need to withdraw to the main battle position, from Stoumont through Houffalize to Bastogne. My reserves are along the line from La Roche to Saint-Hubert. In this case, I will try to hold Bastogne as a redoubt, even if surrounded. At least, that is the plan. Let's see how well I do. Throughout the campaign, I will draw on tactics from the US Army field manuals from World War II. One such manual was FM 101/5, the Staff Officer's Field Manual. At the start of each battle, I will conduct a commander's estimate of the situation, using Form 1 from page 90 of FM 101/5, pictured here. The commander's estimate consists of the mission, the situation and possible lines of action, analysis of possible lines of action, comparison of own lines of action, and decision. Then, we will implement the decision in the game. During each battle, I will apply historical World War II US Army doctrine. This doctrine will cover matters such as defensive and offensive operations, rifle company tactics, anti-tank tactics, and armoured tactics. And after each battle, I will draw out some lessons learned. I will conclude each day of the campaign with two periodic reports to summarise the situation. The first is a G2 periodic report on the enemy, following the structure of the Form 16 from page 114 of FM 101/5, pictured here. The second is a G3 periodic report on friendly operations, following the structure of the Form 17 from page 116 of FM 101/5, pictured here. Finally, I will leave you with the introduction videos for the game. In the next episode, we will play through all of the boot camp missions. Then, in the following episode, we will start the American Grand Campaign.
Following on the heels of a sharp pre-dawn bombardment, the attack began in heavy fog which grounded Allied air power. Progress was slow in the northern Munchau area, but one battle group under Joachim Peiper of the 1st SS Panzer Corps penetrated deep into U.S. lines, and by the end of the day was racing for the Meuse bridges. The German 5th Army smashed through the lines of the 106th Division, but faced a harder task against the experienced 28th Division. Confusion reigned in Allied ranks as German soldiers disguised in U.S. uniforms infiltrated their lines. It was not until the afternoon that Allied High Command realized that the attack was more than a feint and began to organize reinforcements. After 2 days, only Peiper's battle group remained unchecked and continued to make significant progress in the north. But it wasn't easy. The enemy's skillful blowing up of bridges, in addition to the debilitating wintry conditions, made it increasingly difficult for them to reach the Meuse quickly. Meanwhile, Eisenhower met with Bradley, Devers, and Patton at Verdun. The plan was to turn Bastogne into a fortress city where the German offensive would be stopped. Patton was to counterattack in the south by turning his troops 90 degrees, creating a hammer to Bastogne's anvil. Indeed, Patton had already begun preparations to do so. On December 19th, the 101st Airborne Division was able to reinforce Bastogne when von Manteuffel failed to reach his destination quickly enough. In the north, Peiper was also repeatedly frustrated in obtaining his objective when his drive to the Meuse continued to meet heavy resistance. The battle plan had called for a quick strike into French territory, but the aggressive American defense frustrated the Germans. The slow progress began having an effect on the entire German army, creating vast fuel shortages. 3 days later, Peiper's battle group still had not made any progress. He was cut off from the rest of the German army. Meanwhile, von Manteuffel finally surrounded Bastogne, but the Allied forces refused to surrender, though von Manteuffel's armored spearheads drove west in all directions, deep into the Allied lines, searching for a junction that led him north toward the Meuse and left the Bastogne forces completely isolated. By the end of the 24th, Manteuffel's army stood just short of Marche on the Meuse. This was the high watermark of the German offensive. It was at this moment that Patton began to attack from the south, and the weather cleared sufficiently for the Allies to be able to finally use their air power. On the day after Christmas, just 10 days after the Battle of the Bulge began, Bastogne was relieved by the U.S. 4th Armored Division. Wacht am Rhein had failed. While von Manteuffel still tried during the next few days to drive the Americans back and secure Bastogne, Patton's increasing pressure from the south proved too much, and the offensive collapsed.
Thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and donate. And stay tuned for the next episode.